I'm gonna go into my little office. I'm gonna broadcast in a minute where y'all can see. I want y'all to see all the god doggone
Good to see you,
medication
boss.
that I used to be on, dealing with these doctors
Hi.
and they
What can I
lying
do for
ass
you?
bullshit.
I'll take care of the food. You take care of the company. Are you sure you need more snacks? When you
On the
finish what
top
you've
screen,
got,
y'all
I'll get you
looking at
some more.
my arsenal in my
Looks
garage.
like your pockets are full. Are you sure you need more snacks?
She gonna probably come back out. She gonna take the subway and catch up with him after she do a mission. It's just me and her in here, so it is what it is. So I might as well put. They might have us go do a mission together. So we'll do it together. So y'all check us out. And like I say, fair use, fair use. And this is what I want y'all to hear. The type of bullshit that's going on dealing with Freeman and these elitist motherfuckers that wants to change the way everything natural in this world. This is the shit that they doing. Let's go.
Was created from the genes of one man and one woman. But technology is on the brink of rewriting the rules of procreation. We could soon make children from two fathers or from two mothers.
It's the bullshit that I want
Babies
to
can
tell
grow
people to hear.
outside the womb.
What they talking
We
about,
might
people.
even create hybrid people,
See?
part human, part animal.
They talking some real
Human
bullshit,
reproduction
people. Oh shit.
unchanged for millions of years,
Getting ready to cut me.
is about to
That's how they
undergo
normally
a
do me.
revolution.
Before they cut me.
Will sex become extinct?
That's some bullshit though, I'm serious.
Space, time, life itself.
Technology
The
is
secrets of the
bullshit at
cosmos
sometimes.
lie through the wormhole.
Free use, motherfuckers. Free use.
Sex is amazing. Why? Well, because without sex, none of us would be here. We are all descendants of the very first human male and female, the people the Bible calls Adam and
Bullshit.
Eve. And for almost all of human history, the way we have made babies has not changed at all.
I've sent the collection point to your GPS. Make the
But a
pickup
brave
and
new
bring the
world of
goods to the
human
warehouse.
reproduction
Should be straightforward.
is just around the corner. New technology and our evolving biology are about
Free use. This is some bullshit.
to rewrite the future of sex and change the age-old roles of men and women.
Back to the garage again.
When I was in school, I wanted to try out for the track team. So I thought I'd practice with a guaranteed win against a girl.
1, 2, 7, go!
Guaranteed win.
Well, to my surprise,
She beat the
she
snot
won
out you.
by a lot. In fact, she went on to become an Olympic champion. Men and women have always competed in the age-old battle of the sexes. What will happen to humanity if nature picks a winner? For the past half-billion billion years, nearly all complex life has reproduced through sexual recombination of their genes. Birds do it, bees do it, even kangaroos do it. But geneticist Jenny Graves thinks the days of humans doing it to make offspring could be numbered. She's peering into our future by looking at the sex genes of these distant cousins.
Oh, that dear little thing. Absolutely gorgeous. And you can see it's a little boy.
Yes, I certainly can.
Because he's well endowed.
You're well endowed, indeed. Kangaroos don't look much like humans, but in fact they have pretty much the same set of genes, about 20,000 or so genes, doing the same jobs.
All living things are built from genes that are made up of DNA. Those genes are coiled up into clusters called chromosomes. We have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Gender, for both humans and kangaroos, depends on just one pair. Girls have 2 X chromosomes, boys have 1 X and 1 Y. We inherited the scheme from a common ancestor.
Kangaroos are much more like the ancestral mammal, and they haven't changed nearly as much. So they give us a window on the past, and they really tell us a lot about our own genome.
By looking at the sex chromosomes of kangaroos, Jenny can see how much our own have changed. She can also plot the future of our sex chromosomes. And according to Jenny, it's bad news. Human males, like her grandson Felix, are on the road to extinction.
All right. Well, I'm going to build a chromosome out of blocks of genes. Felix, maybe you can hand me some more blue blocks.
Both men and women carry an X chromosome. In the microscopic world of DNA, it's a skyscraper, a tower of around 1,000 genes. But the Y chromosome, exclusive to men, is more of a rundown shack.
So this is a female with 2 X chromosomes, one from the mother, one from the father. And then this is a male, and he's only got 1 X chromosome, and he's got a much smaller Y chromosome, and it's got hardly any genes on it.
All female eggs contain a single X chromosome. Of the billions of sperm cells a man sends towards a woman's egg, half contain an X, the other half a single puny Y. When a sperm cell with an X chromosome gets to the egg first, the result is a baby girl with 1 X from mom and 1 X from dad.
What happens is these 2 X chromosomes get together and they swap bits. For instance, that bit there swaps with that bit there, and then maybe this bit swaps with that bit, and you end up with something that looks like that. And this is really important because it means that the X chromosomes can repair themselves.
In women, any harmful genetic mutations on the X chromosome can be swapped out with healthy genes before it gets passed to the next generation. But men have no way to repair their Y chromosome. There's no second copy to fall back on.
This Y chromosome doesn't swap pieces at all. So it just stays in a little bundle. And this is a bad thing for the Y chromosome, because if there are mistakes and errors and mutations, that's too bad. There's no way of fixing them.
Bitch, all motherfuckers start eating right. There ain't gonna be all the disease and famines and all this other bullshit. You ain't gotta do all that bullshit trying to play to create it,
So
bitches.
maybe in 4 or 5 million years, there'll be nothing left.
Without a Y chromosome, men would become imperfect. Would the extinction of humanity follow? Evolutionary biologist Levi Moran wants to know what happens when a species can no longer sexually reproduce. He's working out the details by working out.
But guess
There are
what?
times when
It ain't
my
the
work
black
ethic with
man
project
that's
is
having
really,
sex.
really
It's the
driving
white
me
man.
forward, and running allows me to really focus in on everything that I need to be thinking about.
Levi is chasing an answer to the most fundamental mystery of sex. Why do we and so many other species do it? He thinks he can find the answer by closely observing sexual activity under a microscope. These microscopic worms, or nematodes, are known as C. elegans. Their sex life is incredibly simple.
It's actually pretty sad. Sometimes the males will basically take their tail, attach it to their head, think that they are a female, and mate with themselves for hours on end without realizing it.
Males are simple, but their female counterparts have more complex needs. Female C. elegans are not
Oh, you
exactly
don't have no
female.
Robert Johnson.
They're hermaphrodites. They can reproduce by coupling with a male, just like human females do, or they can reproduce by impregnating their own eggs with their own sperm. Levi can control the sex drive of nematode females by flicking a few switches in their DNA. He can make them always opt for sex or always reproduce without males. To see what a difference sex makes, Levi subjects these hermaphrodites to the hard forces of natural selection by making them cross an ocean of disease.
If you look at this petri dish here, what you can see is that this red bacteria up here, it's highly virulent to the nematodes. It's very likely to kill them. And they have to swim through this bacteria to get to their normal food source, which is at the bottom here.
Nematodes that reproduce without sex endure the plague for 30 generations, but are not able to develop a defense against their toxic invaders. Their ranks are decimated. Now, Levi sends another colony of worms across the Valley of Death. This time, he's genetically engineered them to reproduce only through sex.
We again put them on this.
Houston.
Plate that has the bacterial parasite and had them crawl across, see if they could survive exposure to the parasite, and then reproduce in the normal environment. And if you look at the screen here, what you see is a lot of them survive that exposure.
Levi's experiment shows that sex allows a population to evolve better defenses against diseases. He believes that over millions of years of our evolution, sex is what has kept us from being wiped out by disease. As Levi knows from his sport of running, it's all about staying ahead.
Imagine that I'm a population, and that each step I take forward is a generation in evolutionary time.
Reproduction without sex is a lot like running in a straight line. A species can get from A to B quickly and efficiently, but if you run in a straight line, a predatory parasite can easily pick up on your path. Sexual reproduction is like following a zigzag path. It's slower, but the mixing of genes constantly shifts the species' evolutionary path, making it hard for a parasite to latch on, and giving the species its best chance to survive.
There are all kinds of pathogenic parasites out there that could potentially trap our populations. And so if we have genetic diversity, then it allows the population the potential to adapt and change with those parasites.
Sex has been vital to our survival, but sex is bound to change. It can happen in 1,000,000 years if the Y chromosome disappears, or it can happen within the next decade. This stem cell researcher may have a way to let any two people regardless of their gender, make a baby. How do you make a baby? Well, you need to fertilize an egg, a process that always used to start with boy meets girl. But for the last 30 years, doctors have also been able to fertilize an egg in a test tube. But science is about to offer a radically new way to make people. We'll start with an egg from a man, or a sperm cell from a woman. This cell may change the future of human sex. It's a cell from ordinary human skin. But fertility expert Renee Para of Stanford University is trying to transform it into a cell that could create a new human.
For most of human history, we've thought that as we develop, we have the cells that we have. If we have skin cells, they're going to make more skin cells. In 2007, there was a major breakthrough. We can take skin cells and we can move them back to the beginning of life, the embryonic state.
These skin cells are bioengineered to become embryonic stem cells, cells that exist naturally in a human embryo. They have the power to turn into any type of cell in the human body: heart muscle, neurons, even lung cells.
Took that from a black woman too.
Other researchers are trying to use them to repair damaged organs. But Renee has a different plan: to sculpt cell types our bodies normally could not.
So stem cells are a lot like clay. They need to be given instructions on what cell type they will differentiate to. They can become any of 216 different cell types. Clay is similar in that if a sculptor takes the clay, they can actually direct the clay into any structure that you want.
A stem cell takes directions to become a cell with a unique job from a myriad of proteins and other organic chemicals. Renee and her team wanted to make sperm and egg cells, so they set out to find the specific chemical instructions that would make stem cells develop down that.
To make a sperm cell from stem cells, what we've done is we've taken skin cells from men and we've reprogrammed them to embryonic cells and then used bone proteins to direct these stem cells down the sperm cell lineage. Kind of like starting with a ball of clay. You start with a small ball of clay and we try to get the cells to differentiate along a lineage.
Renee is halfway through the process of activating the instructions inside the Y chromosome of an infertile man's stem cell so that she can craft from it a healthy, potent sperm cell. But since males have an X chromosome, Renee believes a similar procedure could take a male patient's stem cell and turn it into an egg.
It is possible that someday same-sex couples could have their own children, especially if the couple is comprised of two men, because then one of the men could provide the egg and the other the sperm.
Renee believes that eventually she could make sperm cells from a woman's stem cell. But it's a challenge because it requires importing sperm-making instructions from the Y chromosome of a man.
It's a little harder to imagine same-sex couples that are comprised of two women being able to have their own children at this time. just because of the number of genes that are on the Y chromosome that are required to make sperm, probably around 50 or 100.
Yeah, I
It's
sick
not
it up because they
impossible,
trying to make
but
it seem
it's
like
just
God really went
much
inside of Adam to
likely
make
in
him.
the next 10 years or
Boy,
so.
it's some bullshit. They're lying ass bullshit.
Thanks to the work of Renee and her colleagues, the age-old biology of sexual reproduction is about to undergo a momentous change. With stem cell reproduction, any two human beings could conceive a child regardless of their gender or age. But not everyone thinks it's a good idea.
I'm always surprised how many people, I mean, I get bad calls about that. People are so worried about the world being taken over by people that are now reproducing in a ditch. I think that our technology will be wonderful for it.
I'm saying our technology.
Fertile couples, but I think couples that are well able to have children naturally will continue to do so.
Let's say a female sperm and a male egg could be created in the lab.
And I say that out of all love and a lot of dislike. Because I don't hate none of my fellow
couples in any combination of genders could conceive a child, but the fetus
I just like a lot of stupid shit that y'all do.
9 months inside a woman.
Now you might say, how can I call it stupid? If the fucking shit don't make sense and you can't make nothing out of it, it's fucking stupid.
We all began our lives in the same place, a woman's womb. It was 9 months of blissful ignorance for most of us, but not for our mothers. What if women didn't have to carry the burden of pregnancy?
I hit that thing because I was just thinking about that. That's how it's supposed to be, man.
A radical shift in reproduction is already happening. Marine biologist tHE has just brought living creatures into the world in a completely new way.
We've done something that was rather strange, rather abnormal, and challenging too to think about what are the implications in the future.
Nick has built a machine that gives birth to living sharks.
We're looking at a grey box, which is actually an artificial uterus. We shorten it to an AU, and we've developed this, designed it.
Can you imagine how much fucking money they use for that bullshit? And they got people starving and dying? And this is the type of bullshit that they doing?
Nick built his AU, his mechanical womb, to restore the population of the critically endangered gray nurse shark.
That's the reason for doing shit. Danger, yeah, they're danger from you. And the pollution that companies doing.
Come up with a breeding program. He said, okay, come back in 6 weeks and don't tell me you can't do it.
Human beings have just about mastered keeping adult fish alive outside of their natural habitat by engineering aquariums. Chemicals are balanced, pH levels kept in check, waste products cleaned out, and nutrients delivered on schedule. But keeping fish alive that haven't been born yet is a whole new challenge.
The AU is a small aquarium, and so you've got to create the environment for the embryos. They're delicate, they have specific requirements, and the mother is not providing those, you are.
Unlike an adult fish, the needs of delicate shark embryos drastically change as they grow.
Sharks use the complex uterine fluid early on in development, and subsequent 3 months into development, they switch to a seawater environment, which mum pumps in the seawater. So we really do need to understand that complex fluid, the composition, and how we need to maintain it in an artificial environment. And that's something that's not been done before.
Nick programmed his artificial uterus to change its chemistry from bodily fluid to seawater in line with the mother shark's natural rhythm. Experimenting with the severely endangered gray nurse shark was too risky. So Nick calibrated the first run of his artificial womb for a more common species, the wobbegong shark.
But you just said that the other sharks that he was taking from being out of sea, y'all lying. See, y'all contradicting yourself. You're just saying you're doing another shark because of it.
Things meant that we could actually have a smaller animal that we could use as a model species.
All that bullshit y'all doing.
And of course it wasn't critically endangered.
To grow baby wobbegongs, Nick harvested the growing embryos from a pregnant female and transferred them to his artificial womb. He kept constant watch over the tiny unborn pups, precisely managing the conditions to keep them alive.
I think you become attached to these guys. They're sort of animals that you've taken away from mum, and you hope that nothing detrimental occurs.
The procedure was a resounding success. After 9 weeks, Nick's lab gave birth to 14 perfectly formed shark pups. Nick believes that what is possible for sharks today is possible for humans tomorrow. It's all a matter of knowing how and when a mother's womb changes its chemical composition.
I think technology's come leaps and bounds in just a few years, and round the corner we could be looking at some major changes. I could potentially see preterm infants possibly going back further in the term, but even then I think there's still ethical questions one has to ask about it.
Would a baby grown in a laboratory be the same as an infant nurtured inside a woman? Would society accept these children as equal to those born from a natural womb? Only time will answer the many questions of growing our young outside a woman's uterus. We may choose to face these questions sooner than you think. An artificial human uterus could make miscarriages, prenatal complications, and death in childbirth horrors of the past.
When babies eat right, everything goes naturally right.
But born in one,
naturally straight.
And when any combination of people can create a child, what would be the meaning of the word family? The family is the backbone of our society. But what is a family? Does it start with a man and a woman? Or, as some cultures say, a man and many women? Or 2 women? When technology transforms how children are born and who their parents can be, what will our society look like? Perhaps we can find a clue in the societies of our closest animal relatives. Florence Duvall has dedicated his career to studying the societies of the great apes. In the wild, they must fight to survive, and often die trying.
Chimpanzees kill each other over territory? Well, chimpanzees are very competitive, especially over rank among males. Who's going to be the dominant male?
What is true for chimps is often true for us.
Oh, no.
trying to understand what shapes the social roles of male and female primates.
Chimpanzee society is quite different in that they have no family structure like humans do, like male, female, offspring. It's usually just the females. The offspring and care for them.
We share 98.5% of our genome with chimps. But Franz knows that chimps are not our only close relatives.
I was interested in chimpanzees, and I worked with them already many years, and then I saw bonobos. And people called them pygmy chimps at the time, and they just considered them a small kind of chimps. And I saw immediately that they were totally different in their behavior, their appearance. And so I couldn't believe that people had sort of linked them together, and I wanted to know more about that.
Just like chimps, bonobos share 98.5% of their genes with humans. But as Franz observed them, he discovered their society was utterly different from chimps.
Female bonobos are collectively dominant over males. They're not individually dominant because they are smaller, but as a group, the females dominate the males.
Even though bonobo males are physically larger and stronger than females, the females form alliances that keep the peace. Violence is rare. Killing even more rare.
No.
Females eat first and share food with the males.
No.
And if any social crisis erupts, the bonobos have a special way of relieving the stress.
Bonobos have sex almost all the time.
No.
Females have sex with females, males have sex with males. There's of course a lot of female-male sex going on. And so there's a lot more sex.
You're lying, man. Y'all did that.
Sex serves bonding between females, preventing conflict, reconciling after conflicts. And so as a result, the bonobos are known as sort of the hippies of the primate world, like make love, not war kind of primates.
Sex is the female bonobo's tool of choice for building alliances.
The females will have some sexual relations and do some bonding, and they will become dominant over the male.
Bonobos and chimps are genetically almost identical, and yet their societies are completely different. Franz believes that is because the role of males and females are dictated not by genes, but by a species' native environment.
Bonobos live in a richer forest, where there's more resources around. In addition, they don't have competition from gorillas, who eat a lot of ground vegetation. And so bonobos seem to have an easier time in their ecology than the chimpanzees.
Better eat
And
bread.
that permits females to have these effective coalitions, because a chimpanzee female is basically on her own if she meets a male most of the time. And so the bonobos are a more cohesive society.
So what can bonobos
make that
and
motherfucking
chimps
gay
tell us
bullshit
about
all
the
right?
roles
That
of
shit
men
ain't all
and
right.
women and how they might change in the future? In the past few centuries, human ecology has dramatically changed. Most people now
When it never changed, you wouldn't have fucking changed it.
like the bonobos do in their natural
Like y'all changed with the fucking F.
And most of us have easy access to sex when we choose to. Are we headed for a society that's less like the warring and male-dominated chimps and more like the free-loving and egalitarian bonobos? A society where children are raised by communities, and when conflicts occur, they are resolved with free-spirited sex?
Well, I think
that.
Of food supply makes things easier, but it doesn't change necessarily how we respond to each other and how adults respond to children or how adults respond to each other.
Franz believes that although our environment does shape our behavior, it takes many, many generations to do so. The behavior of men and women today harks back to the environment we lived in tens of thousands of years ago, when our species first evolved.
Whereas chimpanzees and bonobos live in the forest, humans left the forest and entered the savanna. The savannah is a very dangerous place because you cannot easily escape.
You won't believe it so
There's big
bad.
lions there and hyenas,
Nope.
and in the old days they were even bigger than they are now. And so humans needed to have a different kind of society. The males got involved in protecting offspring. As a result, you get pair bonding between male and female, so you get a nuclear family, and that's very different from the chimpanzee or the bonobo, where the males are barely involved.
Unlike the great apes, who assigned all child rearing to females, human beings usually pair up to raise young. This behavior is deeply rooted in our brain chemistry. Neuroscientists have discovered that hormones like oxytocin are released inside the brain when humans interact with their bonded partner. These hormones urge us to trust each other and bond.
And so I think this pair bonding framework of the human species is very important, and it's basically what sets us apart.
Franz believes that this drive to form our families around a strong bond between two individuals will not be altered for thousands of years to come. Technology may change our food supply, who's capable of reproduction, and how their young are born, but Franz predicts most of us will choose to reproduce not through a community, but rather with a partner.
Yep.
After all, old habits are hard to break. But sexual reproduction between only two people may eventually be deemed inferior.
Wow.
This doctor has found a way to make children healthier by giving them 3 genetic parents.
Wow.
Sex is the greatest creative force on the planet. It mixes the DNA of two people into novel and sometimes quite remarkable combinations.
Of the creator,
without
baby.
sex, there would be no Michelangelo.
No, without the creator.
No Michael Jordan.
Without the creator.
The more you jumble up DNA, the more creative possibilities there are.
Don't think that was by chance, man.
If we could have more.
That was from the creator. See, you thinking stupid too. You ain't thinking of the creator. You thinking of everything happening by chance, and now you controlling everything. Nobody. Where the fuck you think your thoughts come from?
University is a medical rebel. His team has invented.
But inside each and every one of us is a divine creator as the source of reasons why we go.
By breaking the law.
I think what we're doing, and I think we've got to keep this into perspective, is that we're trying to prevent serious disease. I don't believe that it's right and proper to be doing these sorts of.
So your secret underground lair's been discovered and cleaned out. Luckily, I have access to certain surveillance data, and I can send the location of the truck the agents are using to your GPS. Get over there if you want your hardware back.
That occur when our cells can't get enough power. Every cell in our body contains mitochondria. They provide power by taking material from the food.
What is that?
We eat and converting it to organic fuel. But when mitochondria aren't working properly, our cells can barely function.
That leads to the diseases where it affects the central nervous system, the heart. They can produce epilepsy, strokes, blindness, deafness, dementia.
All the shit y'all putting in the air, in the water, the shit that's killing us.
Mitochondria have their own separate DNA, and a child inherits all his or her mitochondria from the mother.
Okay, these guys are operating a policy of if they can't have the hardware, no one can. They put a bomb on the truck. Make sure you disable it before moving the equipment, or that'll be it.
If the child's DNA is stored into a new cell with healthy mitochondria. While the law prevents him from performing the full procedure in humans, he often does similar work in his garden.
If you've got bad soil, then a plant just simply won't grow. If you've got an egg which has got unhealthy mitochondria, then what means is that then that won't grow into a normal child, it won't grow into a normal adult. But if you've managed to transfer the material from an egg which has got unhealthy mitochondria into one which has got healthy mitochondria, then that should allow the child to flourish. And that's the principle. We really want to move the nuclear genetic material from something which is unhealthy into a situation where it's healthy.
Transplanting a seed from a pot of bad soil to a pot of healthy soil is one thing. Transferring the nucleus of a human embryo cell into a donor cell requires the utmost care and precision. If anything goes wrong, the infant that develops from that embryo could have severe birth defects. But Doug and his colleagues at the Newcastle Fertility Clinic are mastering the process by performing legally permitted practice runs.
So the eggs are collected from women who are donating their eggs for research. These eggs undergo an IVF procedure, the in vitro fertilization.
Doug's team takes a donated egg
Donate.
and
Like somebody
removes its
donated.
nucleus, creating an empty vessel with healthy mitochondria. They then transplant the nucleus of the defective cell into the healthy vessel. The law prevents them from putting this egg back inside a mother. But if they did, that child would be unlike any other on earth. She or he would have 23,000 nucleic genes from two parents and 13 mitochondrial genes from someone else. Genetically speaking, the child would have 3 parents. Many of Doug's opponents argue that giving a child any of the third-party genes,
What is the reason?
no matter what the medical value, is crossing a line.
It's 23,000 versus 13, so you can see it as a tiny contribution. And if it's preventing disease, surely that's a good thing.
Man, you creating disease, man. What the fuck you meant to my prevent disease?
Doug and his team are now involved in a public consultation to change the UK government's law. If they are permitted to move forward, they believe they can eradicate mitochondrial disease.
It is something which is controversial, and it will be against some people's religious views, for example. I think everybody should be allowed to have their views, but I personally have a different view because I look after these patients and I see just what a devastating effect it has on the family.
Doug's procedure could also be the beginning of a new class of medicine, one where devastating genetic diseases are subdued by giving children genes from any number of third parties. Our children may someday have 1 or 2 parents that raised them,
taking all kinds of
and many
medication.
more parents that made them. But why stop there? Why not make children healthier and stronger using the best genes nature has to offer, regardless of which species they come from? The Sphinx, the Mermaid, Spider-Man.
You calling for some wheels? I'm Johnny on the spot. I'll hook you up.
Of a human married to the physical prowess of an animal.
I'll bring it by.
But such creatures may not remain mythical for much longer. Randy Lewis is a pioneer. On this remote farm in upstate Utah, He's pushing scientific boundaries and creating a new form of agriculture. But there are those who say he's playing God.
Well, I got interested in chemistry when I was in high school. In a high school teacher that I had, he allowed us to do some experiments on the side. So we were mixing some different kinds of chemicals and sort of generated a cloud of steam and smoke that went clear to the ceiling. He just had a very perplexed look on his face and said, "We got to get the windows open," and really never said another word about it.
Randy got away with it. And today he embraces the same fearless spirit. His latest work is boldly mixing diverse genetic chemicals, starting with the DNA of this creature.
So this is a golden orb-weaving spider. As you can see, she's very docile. The dragline silk, which is the silk that you can sort of see waving up in the air, that she drags along behind herself as her lifeline, is actually stronger than Kevlar and more elastic than nylon.
The immense strength and lightweight nature of spider silk make it a miracle material. Its industrial applications are almost endless. But to date, no farmer has ever built a ranch with millions of spiders producing duplicate silk.
So there are two real problems in trying to farm spiders. First is they're territorial, and second they're cannibalistic. So you put a bunch of them together, what happens is they just start killing each other.
But ever the chemical tinkerer, Randy realized he didn't need spiders to produce spider silk. All he needed was the genetic chemicals that give spiders their web-making ability.
What we've done is identify the genes that make up each of the different proteins.
Merriweather, because security is a private matter. What can I do for you?
We've been able to take those
Helicopter support unit will be with you right away.
Randy's lab transfers these spider genes into the DNA of fertilized goat eggs. The goats grow to term and are born with all the genes that a goat...
The cavalry has arrived!
Plus a little something extra.
We splice the spider silk gene into the genome of the goat, and we put it in a situation where the only time that gene is used to make protein is when the goat's producing milk.
Randy milks his spider goats and takes the milk back to his lab, where it is processed and filtered. And from one milking alone, Randy yields about 35 miles of spider goat silk. His work could lead to a new industrial revolution, where groundbreaking biological materials are produced by animals with genes from different species.
The DNA is the same in all organisms. So if you take a piece of DNA from any other organism, in general, you put it in the right context, it's going to be produced.
Randy's work is also proof of the concept that animal genes could be spliced into human DNA.
I think that one could imagine a situation where you could take a spider silk gene and put it under some kind of control where a human could produce it.
These breakthroughs could lead to a remarkable new evolution of humanity. Today, we give our offspring the gifts of our best genetic traits, and tomorrow, we could give them the very best of everything nature has to offer. Our grandchildren could climb like geckos, run like cheetahs, or see in infrared.
Sex is part of nature. I go along with nature. That's what Marilyn Monroe said. Sex may always be part of nature, but only for recreation, not necessarily for procreation. A world where babies are chemically crafted and carefully reared in the labs may sound utterly alien. But parents will always do what's best for their children. That aspect of our nature will never change.
Every single person who has ever lived was created from the genes of one man and one wolf. But technology is on the brink of rewriting the rules of procreation. We could soon make children from two fathers or from two mothers. Babies can grow outside the womb. We might even create hybrid people, part human, part animal. Human reproduction, unchanged for millions of years, is about to undergo a revolution. Will sex become extinct?
Go ahead, no.
Space, time, life itself. The secrets of the cosmos lie through the wormhole. Sex is amazing. Why? Well, because without sex, none of us would be here. We are all descendants of the very first human male and female, the people the Bible calls Adam and Eve. And for almost all of human history, the way we have made babies has not changed at all. But a brave new world of human reproduction is just around the corner. New technology and our evolving biology are about to rewrite the future of sex and change the age-old roles of men and women. When I was in school, I wanted to try out for the track team. So I thought I'd practice with a guaranteed win. Against a girl.
Yeah,
Set, go! Go, 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 go!
Well, to my surprise, she won.
Oh, snap.
This event is for people that want to get into real estate.
It wasn't just, here's how to flip a house. It's here's how to... How to successful business.
That sucks, don't it? Man, the things we could have done with those guns.
And this is going crazy too. Yeah, it is what it is. Do what it do. So leave me a salad.
Text to speech unavailable here.